Verbally Effective with Ina Esco is an interview-style podcast that intersects art, culture, politics, and entertainment with a Memphis focus. With producer Sana Marie. Each week, I'm joined by a featured guest with roots in Memphis. Verbally Effective delves into each guest's personal journey to uncover the incredible stories fueling their purpose, the highs and lows of their pursuits, and how through their passion, they are moving the culture forward. Be sure to follow Verbally Effective and Ina Esco on Instagram. Also, download the Verbally Effective podcast on SoundCloud, iTunes, and Google Play Music. Don't forget to check out the website and submit to be a guest at verballyeffective.com. Hello. Welcome to the Verbally Effective Podcast. I'm your host, your double E, Ina Esco. This is the podcast that intersects art, culture, politics, and entertainment with the movers and shakers in Memphis. And I'm so excited today because my good friend is joining me. He's out there in San Francisco, California right now, but he is visiting right now. I am talking about none other than Mr. Marcus Washington. He is an Emmy Award winning journalist. He used to be an associate producer over there at WREG. Do you remember that, ladies and gents? He's currently the morning anchor at NBC's Bay Area in San Francisco, California. What's up, Marcus? Yo! I'm like, Marcus, I look on Facebook. When are you visiting? When are you coming? Do you come to Memphis often?
I do not. I wish I would come home longer, but it just takes forever coming from the Bay Area. Getting here, it takes anywhere from 6 to 7 hours, 6 to 8 hours.
Wow,
yeah,
that's
I've left
flight.
as early as 8 in the morning, and I didn't get to Memphis until 9. Now, mind you, we're 2 hours behind, but still,
wow,
there's no straight flights.
Oh my gosh! So how did it feel to hit the ground in Memphis?
Oh man, it always feels good to get home. I got home Wednesday. This is an early flight. I left San Jose, so I live in San Jose. And I left at 10:20, and I got here at 6. That was early for me.
Early.
6
And you
o'clock
know
on
what?
Wednesday.
It's funny you mentioned San Jose. I used to work for a company that was headquartered in San Jose, California, and I used to love going to San Jose. Do you love it?
You know what? Yes and no. I love it because of the weather. It's warm, but there's no humidity. It's movers and shakers when it comes to tech world. That is Silicon Valley. Zoom is literally right around the corner from me.
Wow.
It's the next street over from where I live. And then you've got Facebook not too far. Google's there. I work across the street from one of those companies. But anyway, yeah.
One of those tech companies
they're
or
all
something.
right there. So. It's really cool to live in that area, the Bay Area. A lot of people don't know because when I say the Bay Area, where is that? Bay Area is San Francisco, Oakland, and San Jose, the 3 major cities within that. But then you have Palo Alto, which you probably heard from Facebook and all that kind of stuff. But it's a huge area. Then you have Napa, which is wine country if you've ever been to the area. So all of that is a part of the Bay Area. But,
That is your home now.
That is home. It's been my home for almost 5 years.
5 years.
5 years.
That's
And
a while.
you know what? It's interesting because when I first moved there, when I was first told about the opportunity, and I was like, San Francisco. Because
that was your immediate response.
Look, when you work in TV news, making it to a place like San Francisco, it's a top 10 market in the country. People, want to work in places like that, and I did, but I was like, ooh, I don't know how they're gonna like me.
Wow.
I don't know, and because the thing about it, it's a very diverse area, but there are not a lot of black people there.
What's like the population of black people?
Oh, it's like less than, what, 3% or something like that? Yeah.
Up, Marcus.
Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's around 3%. Yeah. It's or maybe 7 at the most, but it's not even 10%.
Well, you're moving and shaking out there.
Well, I'm doing what I can. I'm from Memphis, so that's how we do it, baby.
Right, and you're from Memphis. Tell everybody with the Verbally Effective audience, what part of Memphis are you from?
Memphis, Orange Mound.
Oh, you Orange Mound. It's Orange Mound night.
Orange Mound, baby. That's where I'm from.
The Mound.
Yeah, over there, if you know where Sims and Park.
Yes.
I live one street over on Carson Street. That's where I grew up. lived my whole life there until I left. Yeah, or University of Memphis. And but then I lived there my whole life. My family's from that area. My grandfather his family moved from Mississippi. He went to Merrow's. My mother and father graduated from Merrow's.
Wow.
I graduated from White Station. So
I'm like, and you? No. Okay,
But
White Station. Wow. So, okay, Orange Mound. When I saw your bio, I saw that growing up, you were a big fan of the news, Joe Birch.
Yes, Joe Birch.
I love Joe Birch.
The Joe Birch, living legend. I love
Joe
that man.
Birch. So you used to watch him literally and wanted to do that.
I remember Joe Birch, and if you're from Memphis, Joe Birch, Brenda Wood. She also worked retired recently in Atlanta, so if you know her from that. But I remember watching them, and I just thought he was just like the coolest dude ever. He had that thick hair,
Real thick and dark. Ooh.
And I just remember watching him all the time. And I remember as a kid, and I say it was around 5, but I'm not really sure. But I do vividly remember saying, "Mom, I want to do that." And I didn't really know what that meant, but I knew I wanted to do what he was doing. And over the years, I did like, I guess, most kids, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be a college professor because I had an uncle who was a professor, all those kind of things. But it always went back to news. I mean, I was that kid who would get in trouble in school for talking all the time.
Oh, yeah, you was ready. You would stay ready.
Yeah, so it was one of those things. I remember running into one of my fourth grade teacher at a wedding of one of my classmates, and she was like, "I remember you. You used to talk all the time, right?" And I said, "Yeah." She was like, "What are you doing now?" I said, "I'm a news anchor.
I get paid to do it, baby.
I get paid to talk now."
Wow. So you went to University of Memphis.
University of Memphis.
And so you majored in communications there.
I walked through the door, knew what I wanted to do.
Okay.
So I remember walking over to the journalism building, taking the journalism test, passing on my first time, thank God.
Amen.
And taking the courses. But my road was not an easy one. And it was partially my fault.
Okay, tell me about it.
So, I did great things. I was, very energetic and went there and was doing well. And then I met this amazing thing in my life called Kappa Alpha Psi.
Oh!
So,
I know. So things went a little when you got involved with the noobs.
I was, instead of in the library, I was at step practice, hanging out with my brothers and, having a great time. I don't regret anything about that because it really did teach me a lot. I remember in a couple of classes, 2 of my journalism classes. One was shooting, which is the camera, which I don't do anymore. But, we had to learn how to do that. And it was news writing the first time I took it. And I remember my teacher in news writing, she says, "Marcus, you're doing good, but I think you would benefit from taking this class again." And I was passing, but it was like maybe a C. And she said, "I think you would benefit from taking class again." And that, who wants to take a class again? Right. And so I swallowed my pride and actually took the class again, aced the class in the editing class, aced shooting, editing, aced that class as well. And but what it taught me was that, things don't always go the way you want them to go at the first time. Exactly. But if you truly do want to do that, you will suck up your pride and do it again. And so and that made me a better writer. It made me a better shooter. I understand editing a lot more because I did that, and I don't regret that at all.
Yes. Tell me about your first television gig.
My first television gig. Okay, so I started I guess the first one actually was at WREG.
Yes.
Believe it or not. So here in Memphis, at the University of Memphis, you have to do an internship before you graduate. So, a lot of people would go to, Fox 13 here, WRG, WMC, so all the stations here. And for some reason, I wanted to go to Channel 3. It was a station I was starting to watch. I grew up watching Channel 5, but then I wanted to do Channel 3. And I remember before my interview, I emailed 5 of the news reporters there, just saying like, "Hi, my name is Marcus. I'm looking to do an internship there, and I would love to work with you," because I watched them. I truly did, and I went and did my interview, got the internship, and it was interesting because one of my college professors used to work at Channel 3, and she said, "Marcus, you're already creating a buzz. Like people are talking about who is this guy Marcus that's coming."
Wow, you made an impression.
Yeah, so I made an impression during my internship, and something that you want to happen during my internship. I remember. Watched all Mike Matthews. You remember him? I think he's still on TV here. But,
he is.
Yeah, so I was supposed to go out with him. And you go out on the story. So during your internship, you're able to go out and follow the reporter for the day and, see what they do, learn from them. And I really enjoyed his work. And so I say, Mike, can I go with you? He's like, oh, yeah, cool, sure. You can go out with me. Yeah. And then so, I go back inside. So I'm going to be inside, whenever you're ready. That taught me also to follow the reporter everywhere you go. But Mike left me.
Oh, no,
they
Mike.
left me. I went outside. I was like, yo, have you seen Mike? And they were like, oh, he's gone. And I'm like, gone? So here's the thing, Look, you got to make the best of the situation. I went back in. I went to the producers and I said, yo, I'm still here. Do you mind if I write a few stories? And they were like, oh, okay. And they gave me a few stories. There were 3 stories to write. Wrote the stories. And the producer said, oh, you can write. And I was like, yeah, okay, cool. So taking that class again. So, it really served me well. And I remember there was an opening for an associate producer. An associate producer is a writer, and it was for the morning show when it was Chris Anderson and Markova Reed.
I remember Markova. I miss her.
Yeah. She's still like she was a big mentor of mine. And I'm still cool with Chris, too. And so I remember I was applying for a job there. And they said, you should apply. And I said, I'm still in school. I don't think I'll do that. And it was Stephanie Skurlock. I love that. I love her. She's a mentor still to this day. And she said, boy, you better apply for that job. She got mama on me. Huh? She was like, you better apply for that. I applied for that. Got the job. So I was writing overnight while still in college. And then I did something that was kind of stupid.
What did you do?
So they offered me the job. And I told her, I said, well, I want it, and I'm really happy, but I just want you to know I want to be a reporter, so I probably won't be here that long.
You told them that.
Yeah. And now I look back and I was like, what were you thinking? But you know what? Wow. I mean, that was the drive in me. It was like, look, I appreciate this, and I'm going to do my best. And I did. I worked my butt off. And I'm the kind of person where I want you to tear my work apart. You can say, one of the reporters there, he was like, oh, I showed him a story once when I was interning. He said, oh, you want the truth? And I was like, yeah. He said, this is crap. He's like, go write it again. I appreciate that. I want you to tell me that because I don't need you to tiptoe around my emotions. And I think within this industry, because if you necessarily as my mentor don't tear me apart, viewers will or the managers will. And you won't get the job. So you want people to make you the best. It really did build me up. And that might be the Memphis thing. And you're like, look, you gotta have tough skin. You definitely do. And that's what this industry requires, tough skin, because people are gonna talk about you. People are gonna say what they want to say. But I can take it. There's nothing you can say to me that's gonna hurt me.
Yes. And you know what? I'm glad that you said that, Marcus, because this is the perspective I want from you as a male in TV news. It's just stark differences, of course, with the ladies that I've had that are in news on the podcast. They have treacherous stories of misogyny, of degrading conversations from men. It's always men telling them, hey, you need to change your look. Hey, you looking too old today. I need you to wear something different, but I don't have the men's perspective yet.
Well, let me tell you this. That's true. It happens. I've seen it. I've heard it. I have, some of my closest friends are in this industry, and the things that they've told me that they've, dealt with or heard. And, I think the news industry is no different than any other industry. For men, we are looked at as we get older as more wise, more authoritative. We can handle these things. Women are expected to be youthful, cheerful, beautiful at all times. And not in every situation. I don't want to make that like every newsroom is like that, but it happens a lot within this industry and in every industry. And I think they do have to deal with it a lot more than men. We're just go get it. Be tough, and that's all we need to do. And once I start going gray, that's looked at. Oh, he's wise. A girl starts going gray. It's like, ooh, she's getting old.
That is crazy, Marcus.
But that's life, and I'm not saying like, oh well, that's life. No, that's life.
That's the industry.
And I think that it is changing in many ways. But with that said, there are many places within markets or cities where you see women are running it who have, I have to think about Atlanta. I remember when I first went there when I was younger, there was an anchor, if you know anything about it, Monica Kaufman or Monica Pearson before she retired, and she had short, natural blonde hair and then it went gray and she had gray hair. And so, but she was
looking
the queen.
like a fox.
Right. Looking good and doing it. And she had that respect. So, there are situations and places where women are running things and doing it. All but one of my stations have been run by women. You know, my news director and my general manager, women. When I was in Baltimore, my news director, a woman. Tulsa, woman. Nashville. Yeah, all my stations except the first one. And even when I was at WREG, the first person to hire me, Michelle Gores. Yeah, I still remember that. Yeah, so a woman. So I've been under, you know, the leadership of women, and I think women are amazing leaders. I trust them. I think they are amazing. I'm not just saying that, but it really is a difference I notice.
Yes, and I'm glad you said that it's evolving.
It is.
As well. Speaking of evolving, let's just talk about how media has evolved in the sense of, you know, we no longer have to go to TV news to get the news. And you all probably, your sources are different now, like the way that you're pulling these stories together. Let's talk about like the evolution. Since you joined the news world, what have you seen, Marcus? How has social media impacted your journey?
Well, back in the olden days. Look, when I first started, there was no such thing as Facebook. Facebook came in my first on-air TV job, which was in Charlottesville, Virginia. And it was just a college thing. And I remember, you know, some of my friends, if you had an .edu account, you could get on Facebook. I just so happened to have one. University of Memphis allowed you to keep it for a few years or whatever. And so I got on there, but it was just nothing. But now it's a source of news. People within news don't necessarily like that always. And let me tell you why. Because everyone feels that they are a journalist because they saw something or they say something. I said it, and then someone said, well, where did you find that out? Oh, I saw it on Facebook. Well, there's not the same.
It's not the same thing.
You know, NBC, Facebook.
Right.
You know, I mean, I'm not saying that you saw something happen. You saw a wreck in front of your house. You saw, you know, that. But then somebody's like, oh, my friend said this, blah, 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 blah. And they type it. And it's like, well, actually, that didn't happen. It was this that happened. Oh. Well, that's what, you know, and people think that. I think it's great. I think social media has been great. It's a way to get out information quickly with Twitter. You can go on the scene, you can report all about it. But I think in the hands of the wrong person, it's a scary situation.
Definitely.
I mean, look at some of the leadership that we've had in this country.
Yes, exactly.
Who got banned from a certain social media site. I'm just saying.
Exactly. Do you all feel that you're in competition with these?
No, well, there is a sense of competition, but do I feel that we're in competition? No. I mean, I feel that we provide a sense of credibility that just because a person says it on
credibility,
Facebook.
I'm glad you said
it's important.
That.
I mean, the thing about it is we don't report news just because we heard it. We have to fact check it more than twice. We have sometimes 2-3 sources before we come out with information. So, you know, when you hear it from many of the news sources, it's actual information. This is how it goes. And here's the thing. I think people need to be mindful of. Just because you don't like it doesn't mean that it's not true. You know, a lot of people are like, well, I don't like that, or that, I hate the term fake news and all that kind of stuff. It's just like, look, just because you don't like what I'm telling you, it's just fact. Here it is in black and white. That's the law. What do you want me to say?
Right.
You know, and something I learned early on is like, you know, I report the facts and respect the truth. That's what I give you. I do have an opinion, but when I give the news, I try to deliver it in a way where it's not my opinion. This is just what it is.
Yes.
So, and that's become a challenge.
I bet because, you know, I can have a conversation with my 16-year-old and, well, Mom, I just saw it on my phone on YouTube. I don't care that you saw it on YouTube.
And then with deep fake and all that kind of stuff where they can make it sound like you saying something but you didn't say it. That's scary.
Crazy.
That's scary when you see stuff like that. So I think we have to be mindful of where we're getting our information. I'm not saying that the information you get from certain places isn't true, but I would be hesitant to share it as much. Definitely.
Now, you co-host Race in America,
yes.
The Conversation.
Emmy nominated.
I want you to tell the Verbally Effective audience about this show and how did it come about?
Yeah, so Race in America is something we started in the wake of George Floyd and the death of George Floyd. And, of course, there was so much conversation about mistreatment of black people at the hands of police. I come from a place where I lived in Baltimore, Maryland during Freddie Gray. I don't know if you all remember that.
I remember that.
In 2015. So I had somewhat experience, like firsthand experience out on the streets as buildings are going up on fire, people running, smashing windows. I was there. Like I was in the trenches of that when it's happening. So I see it. But one thing I learned there, which was so important for me, in telling these stories. One, I come from Memphis. I'm from Orange Mound. I've seen certain things. You know what I'm saying? So I know that just because someone's arrested doesn't necessarily mean they're guilty of something. So the perspective that I was able to bring was that, what happened to Freddie Gray, what happened to George Floyd, what happened to Philando Castile, that people weren't angry because it just happened to them. It's because that also happened to me, my brother, my cousin, my uncle. I saw that happen in front of me to a friend. And so the anger that so many people had wasn't just, over that situation. And it wasn't like, oh, I want to tear up my community. It's like, I want you to hear me. It's kind of like, when you've been talking so much and you're trying to tell someone and they just don't hear what you're saying. And you just want to be heard. And I think Race in America, what that provided was this outlet and this voice that we were able to provide. It's me along with Jessica Giddy, who's an anchor at our station as well. And we talked about race from the Black perspective, from the Latino perspective, which is really huge in the Bay Area. And we talked about, why this is happening, the history of it. And it was uninterrupted conversations, raw conversations about what was happening. It was the conversation of a father having to talk to his 8 or 10-year-old son about, when you go out, this is what you should do. When you get your license at 16, these are the conversations that people are like, I didn't know you had to have that conversation. I'm like, yo, we all had that conversation. I had once when we were talking on air, and it was this reporter for NBC, and she just wrote a piece about her son. That around that time, she just hugged her son tighter that day. And it made me think of my mother. And I'm my mother's only son. And I broke down on TV. It's like, that's something you don't do. But but there was like this raw, unfiltered, we wanted people to see. And I wasn't trying to do that, but it happened. And I didn't stop myself because of where we were in that space. And it allowed people to see like, yo, just because you see me on television in a suit, just because I'm this person, I fear that it could happen to me. When I'm in my car and no one knows who I am, it can happen to me. I can be stopped and I can make the wrong move and I can be shot. And I think also it comes to the story when I lived in Baltimore, I had a photographer. The thing about reporters and photographers, we work in the car together. We're together.
You guys spend a lot of time together.
Yeah. So we become really close in some ways. And I remember we were in Baltimore, and I remember saying, like, man, that could have been me, man. Just talking about situations. And he was like, man, no, man, you worked your ass off, da-da-da-da-da. You deserve this. And I was like, wait, hold up. I said, I didn't say I didn't. Let's get that right. But what I'm saying is like, no, it could have been me. Please don't get it twisted just because who I am or what I do, that I'm different than any old person on the street. I am a Black man in America, and that's it. All the other things are just something someone puts on me, but I am a Black man at the end of the day, and that can happen to me. And we had this pact after that, this is a white man, that in this car, you can ask me anything. You don't have to worry about me saying, like, is that racist? Like, you don't have to worry about that. We can peel back the layers of that and talk about it. And he told me later that, that meant so much to him that he was able to express, ask questions, and he had a better understanding of things that he just never thought about.
And it's a lot of them like that.
It is. We have to, in a space where, of course, we get tired of talking about what it's like to be Black. I mean, we live it every day. But at the same time, if you have someone who is truly interested in having an honest, raw conversation and able to turn the mirror on themselves as well, I think it's worth taking advantage of that.
Definitely.
Because you can teach them something. You can learn something. I mean, I've learned a lot about some of the challenges within the Latino community. I mean, that's a huge community in the Bay Area.
Yeah, their percentage is about,
oh my gosh, it's
over
like,
50?
No, it's not over 50.
Not over 50?
But it's close.
Yeah.
It's close. It's like white is majority, then Latino, then Asian, then I think Indian, and then Black. so you see, and I was like, this, when I moved to the Bay Area, it was the first place that I was a minority of the minorities.
Wow.
Yeah.
How is it like walking down the street when you off work? Like, how is San Francisco? Like, take me to San Francisco.
Well, San Francisco, I mean, it's
beautiful.
It's a beautiful place. It really is. Visually, it's a beautiful place. Please, when you visit San Francisco, if you have not, don't come in shorts and tank tops and flip-flops thinking that it's going to be nice and warm.
That's not
Now, this week
it
was. I think it was like 83. So, but normally it's cold.
Oh.
We have a lot of fog. We're right there on the coast, so you get a lot of fog. So sometimes, it could easily, but there's no humidity. So, I mean, it's beautiful in that sense. But, 83, 86 is a good day. in San Francisco proper. We have what we call microclimates. So a little microclimate. So
what is
it
that?
would be 83 degrees. Say 83 degrees in San Francisco. It'll be 86 degrees in Oakland, which is right across the bridge, right across the water. That's like Memphis and West Memphis, Arkansas.
Wow.
So right across the bridge. And then you have San Jose, which is a little bit farther south. It'll be like 92.
I like San Jose. Look, me and my coworkers at the time, we got on that yacht and went on the water. I was like, yes.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place. It's fun. It's very diverse. And when I say diverse, it's not like what I think growing up here in Memphis, it was very black-white. That was diverse. No, it's black, white, Asian, Indian. It's people from Europe. It's any and everything you can think about. Biracial, multiracial. And so and people don't think about race as much. And it's interesting because I tell people there, I said, I think about race every time I walk into a room. I look around how many black people in the room, what.
Still to this day.
I do it every day.
Yeah.
Not so much as work anymore because, work has become like home. I've been there almost 5 years now. But like when I walk into a room I don't know, I look around and just kind of gauge what it is. But, people think that, because this is, the Bay Area, it's so free, it's so loving, and it is. There's racism there too. And, if you just search online, you've seen situations that happen there when people are targeted and you can't see any other reason other than their race.
Wow.
Barbecue Becky, I think you may have heard that, where the woman called the police on people who were cooking barbecue at a park in Oakland.
Crazy.
They called the police on the little kid who was selling water. It's just like, come on, certain situations. And but it's not just targeting black people; it's targeting Hispanic people as well. So, I think that's something that some of the Hispanic people that I'm cool with, we kind of bond over, some of the situations. So
I definitely could see that. You've been there 5 years. Are you going to stay? Are you coming back to the M? Are you going to a bigger market? What's next for market?
You know what? Because people, my family, my pops asked me that this morning. He's like, wait, what about coming back here?
Because you're still young in this field.
I would say I'm not opposed to coming back home. It has not been in my plan to come back home. Okay. I think probably like 3 or 4 years within my career probably would have been a really good time, but I went to Tulsa, Oklahoma instead. Ooh. Not because I had the option to come here, but I think I felt that I needed to grow more, and Memphis was a place where I knew it. It was so familiar, so I didn't have to try a lot, But moving, I've lived in 6 cities within the last 17 years or so since I've been gone.
Which one has been your fave?
They all hold a special place, but I think Baltimore because it was so much like Memphis.
Really? Baltimore is like Memphis in what ways?
Every aspect you can think about. So it's a blue-collar city, but at the same time, it's like that grit, that grind. People love their city. They have challenges, but they love Baltimore. And they say Baltimore, not Baltimore. Baltimore. Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah. So, and it's just a passion that they have. And it was so interesting because I remember people would think like, oh, aren't you from Baltimore? And I was like, no, I'm from Memphis. And they were like, oh, for real? And I remember one time I went to this guy, I'm like in Baltimore, like in it. And this dude, I was like, yo, can I say? He's like, man, you probably live in the county. And I was like, dude, first of all,
don't know.
I live in the city, which I lived in the city of Baltimore. And I said, and I'm from Memphis. And I said, about MJG, Orange Mound. He was like, he kind of looked at me like that. He's like, oh, okay. It was like, so people respect Memphis and other places they know. But at the same time, it was like this. It wasn't like I was like, yo, it was just like, yo, I respect you, but look, trust, this is just a suit. Don't.
Right.
I get.
Don't
I know
play.
game.
Don't play with the M.
So and that was respect, and I got a lot of respect. I think because I gave respect in those situations, and Memphis taught me that. So
wow. And you know what? You've come a long way because you're now at an NBC affiliate. And just speaking about the media here in Memphis now, there are a lot of shakeups, a lot of changes. My girl Kanji leaving.
Yeah, Kanji.
Janine left.
Yes.
Oh, they all leaving Channel 5 at that.
I don't know why, they're leaving or what the situations surrounding, but I know it's tough because I know for a fact Kanji's been here for quite a while.
A long time.
And
a seasoned
right. And I've met her on story. When I worked in Nashville, we worked at stories together during statewide elections and stuff like that. And I would see it. I remember going up to her and saying, oh, yeah, I'm from Memphis. I hate to say I used to watch you because I don't think we're that much apart in age, but it's just the fact that she's been here and she's holding that spot next to Joe Birch. For me, that's like,
your
whoa,
boy.
yeah, and she does it so well, and I think that she represents well, and I hate to see her go, but I look at it as I'm looking forward to who may one day fill that seat. I mean, that's a coveted seat.
It is.
So,
it is.
Merle Purvis sat in that seat before, So,
Merle.
Yeah, y'all remember that back in the day?
Oh, I do. I definitely do. Now, has there ever been a story that you wanted to talk about but couldn't because of maybe the station's agenda or something that you just really want to get into, but...
No.
No.
When I say I am blessed when it comes to where I have worked, I am blessed. Mm-hmm. I have never been in a station where I hated. Mm-hmm. I have never had horrible management. Mm-hmm. I have friends who have stories that I probably would have left the business if I had to deal with some of the things they've dealt with. But I genuinely enjoy the people that I work with. My co-anchor now, we have this connection, this strength. We say the same things. Where she's from Central Valley, California. I'm from Memphis. She's a Latina. I'm black. But we just connect on a certain way, and I really enjoy working with her. And the same when I worked in Baltimore, I just really enjoy who I work with. Mm-hmm. I have been able to do stories with Race in America. I have been able to do stories of I used to have this thing where I love doing stories about the elderly and just kind of their challenges, but also their joy. And I was able to do that in Nashville. I think I was able to touch on a lot of stories with black people and race when I worked in Baltimore. So it is like I have not had that situation where I'm like, I really want to do this, but they won't let me. Mm-hmm. I have not had that. So I don't have that drama or that story to tell you. But I think about it all the time when especially when I hear my friends talk about it. I'm so blessed.
Yes, you are. And you got a lot more TV to do, too.
I pray that I got another good 40 in me.
Oh, look how you say that, another good 40.
A lot of 40. If I can make it 40, that's going to be a long time.
You're going to be up
Actually,
there like Dan Rather around
30,
this
I'll be good at 30, but, if I can get 40 in, Because, the thing about it is I get up at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. I do morning news. So I get up at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, and I get up every morning.
What is your routine in the morning?
So I get up, the first alarm goes off, like 2:45. You
get that jump.
Yeah. And then I put another one on the other side of the room where I have to get up and walk. And then I get up.
Make you get up.
I roughly get up about 2:50. And then I shower. And then I drive into work. Listen to the radio. Sometimes it's like I listen to the news. Sometimes I'm listening to something to crump. Just get me up. And then I get in. We talk about the stories that we're going to do. It's real quick. And then we go on air at 4:30. And we're on from 4:30 to 7.
Wow.
And then we get off, and then we do little cut-ins, news cut-ins in the morning. I do an online newscast after that, and then we have a midday newscast at 11 o'clock, so I do that as well. Mm-hmm. And then after that, I'm done for the day. So my day ends at 11:30.
That is a nice schedule when you think about it.
But you're sleepy.
Oh, so like when you clock out, you like, I'm going
I go home. Typically, I eat
take
lunch quickly, and I take a nap. I get up. I go to the gym. And then if I have it in me, I'll stay up. And if someone wants to do something, I always tell people, give me 24-hour notice so I can plan my body to stay up later.
It's a lifestyle.
It's tough,
real.
but I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I would change some things, but for the most part, if I could get up later, I would.
Yeah.
But I love that shift. I love the energy of a morning show. I love the versatility of a morning show. It's one where we're serious. We're talking about what's going on in Ukraine right now, but we're also talking about fun stuff as well. And we have that flexibility to be lively and jovial,
Yes.
So, and I enjoy it. And I can sing in the morning sometimes and all that kind of stuff. So.
Okay, because you've had a few viral moments, because y'all do the dances with the whole station.
We do a few dances. I've done dances. I love
challenges.
dances. Yeah, we'll pick up some of those challenges. Janelle Wang, which is one of the anchors at my station, we'll do stuff together. I love doing that. I kind of did some things back in the day by myself, but then, she was like, hey, let's do this. And I was like, cool. And people really, really enjoy it.
They do.
It's fun,
It's like a feel good.
Yeah, because the thing we talk about some serious stuff and some things that just make you not want to watch TV, which a lot of people say. But at the end of the day, you know, we want to let people know, like, hey, we like to have fun, too.
Yes. And speaking of fun, let's jump into Esco's Pop Talk. Since y'all, you know, talking about serious, talking about fun.
Like, normally I stay in my own business until I'm told to talk about it. So let's get in somebody else's business.
Yes. Esco's Pop Talk, we're talking about the latest and greatest pop culture news. Now, this is a story that has definitely been matriculating since the Oscars.
Oh, okay.
You already know what I'm about to say. Will Smith slapped Chris Rock at the Oscars. This has never been done before. I mean, no one expected it. What were your first thoughts when you saw that?
I thought it was a joke, a skit.
I did too, even after it.
Because I went to a concert that night, so I wasn't like watching it. And you know, a friend of mine was like, "Oh, look at this," and I thought, "Oh, why did they do this skit?" Okay, but I went on. But then I was at the concert and I was like, wait a minute, why is this everybody? Like, we get these alerts, you know. We sent out an alert and
blowing
I
up,
was like, why do we send out? I was like, wait, did that really happen? And I was like, yo. And then I went out and I did record it. Went back, watched it, and I said, wow.
Yeah.
I was shocked.
Yeah.
You know, but Will was wrong.
Okay.
Why
you say Will was wrong?
Because, man, look, I get it. I'm not Will, and I understand Jada's going through, you know, health issues with that, with alopecia. I get it. But what he said, and I look at it as G.I. Jane. I don't know if anybody's seen G.I. Jane. That was a very empowerment movie. G.I. Jane was strong, and shaving her hair was also a show of strength. And so I took it as that, but I don't know what she's going through, and I understand that. But to get on stage in the middle of a show, like, you had time to think about it. It wasn't like Chris was like right there in front of him.
Right. He was laughing at first.
Yeah, and that's what I wondered. You know, everybody was like, and then Jada looked at him like, what would Tupac do?
Right.
Well, we know that did not happen.
Oh my God.
But, you know, I mean, we can laugh about a lot of that now, but I think it was irresponsible. For Will Smith to get up there and do that. I mean, think of Will Smith. I mean, he is, whether you want to be or not, he is a role model for a lot of people. And that was just it's not acceptable. It wasn't responsible. It was just, and, you know, and I respect Chris Rock for how he handled it. Yes. Now, if he had done something differently, I don't know if I would have been.
You would have been mad at him.
I wouldn't have been mad because I don't think it just wasn't right.
Yeah.
You know, and then he has now Will Smith has been banned from the Academy
10 years
for a decade, which
he can no longer go. So what? He don't care.
And I saw something, and I just saw it like right before I left, and I thought I saw something that, like, he can still be nominated.
He can receive.
Which I don't understand. Well, what's the point of suspending someone if you can still get? Because the point is to get the award. Trust me, I'm a part of an Academy with the Emmys. If you said I was suspended, but I could still get an Emmy, then okay, what are you suspending me for?
You wouldn't care.
You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I think it is a show of, like, look, you can't go around doing stuff like that, especially on that platform. And so, 10 years, I think it was a just punishment. Should have been harsher. No, I don't think he should have had his award. He earned that award. I saw that movie. He earned that award. He earned it probably for a couple of movies.
That was a good movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, he should have got an Oscar before this.
Yeah, a couple of movies that Will certainly deserved an Oscar, but you know, he deserved that. So, I mean, you know, but don't do it again, Will.
Don't do it again.
And don't do it at school.
And you know what? A lot of people are comparing this situation. They're trying to compare, Will can no longer participate at the Oscars. Well, what about Harvey Weinstein? But Harvey didn't go on stage and hit somebody on live TV.
Right.
He did some bad stuff.
It's not apples and apples. That's a totally different. And that's, I mean, I wouldn't even compare the two for what, you know, Harvey Weinstein has been charged with. And, you know, I mean, that's, well, you know, I mean, he's
horrible.
Right. So I wouldn't compare those things, you know. And again, they didn't take the award from him. If they had taken the award away from him, then that would have been probably something to talk about.
For me.
It would have been a problem for me too.
Yes.
But I think, you know, what happened, just, you know, all the other stuff, don't compare those. No.
Yes.
Don't even put those in, because, no, it's not the same.
You know what? To continue Esco's Pop Talk, I'm going to get into a serious topic. And you've mentioned this since we've been talking, the Ukraine war. I mean, it seems like Putin is not backing down. I know you guys do a lot of coverage on this because this is still ongoing. Where do you think this is going to end?
You know, that's the scary part. I don't know. You know, you look at it every day, and I know or knew when it first started that it wasn't going to be a short-lived invasion war. But it is very... it's a good thing to see how Ukraine is actually standing up for their country and how I don't think Russia expected what they got.
Right. They are standing their ground for
It's
real.
almost like Ukraine said, run up, get done up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, seriously, like you hear about, like, you know, over in some of the cities within Ukraine, it's like, you know, Ukraine is actually taking over it from the Russian troops and things like that. So, I hope, I don't think that we're going to see America jump in there as in fighting.
No,
we're going to provide.
Press secretary said,
right.
no, that's
yeah,
not
we're going to
happening.
provide things to them, but we're not going to jump in there and fight. We're not going to send troops over there or anything like that. So I don't think we're going to see that. But I think it's going. I think we could. I'm not an expert on this by any means, but I could see this going on for quite a while.
Yeah.
Not years, but quite a while. But
Yeah.
but if it is years, then you can say I was wrong.
You know what? It almost makes me wonder if the United States was attacked. Would we respond the same way? Like, will we fight out here?
I think so. I think, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know I would. And I might not, I don't know if I'm a survivor or not, but you can't come over and take over our land.
Yeah.
First of all, my people work too hard for the land.
Okay.
We're still trying to get credit for that. But, like, you're not going to tell me take this, you know. So I think that we would. I don't think we would have to.
Because of our infrastructure here.
Right, just kind of how we're based. I think we have good relations with Canada and Mexico. Well, you know, challenging with the Mexico. But I think as far as something like that, I think it'll be a long time before we see something like that happen.
Yeah.
I think it is like the fear of like missiles coming from China.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's a big fear. You can't do nothing about that.
So I mean, but I don't even want to say I don't think that could happen. But I mean, that's a scary situation. But I just hope that those who should be watching closely are watching closely.
Yes, pay attention
Again,
to the facts.
Run up, get done up.
Run up, get done up, and whoop that trick. Whoop that trick.
For those who don't know, that is a song.
A Memphis song.
I play. You know what? I always play Memphis music for my peeps in California.
And how do they respond?
Play
it again, Marcus.
I play 3 6 Marvin. I play Project Pat. I play whoever, like whatever I can think of, and La Chat, like anything, and they're like, what is this? But you know, there's some Bay Area stuff that I'm like, I don't feel that like that. But with Memphis stuff, like it's and one of my friends just yesterday. Hit me up with, I can't remember what song it was, but it was some song that came on their playlist, and they were like, I can't believe this. I guess because, you know, but I'm introducing, you know, I'm spreading the word from coast to coast.
You got to keep Memphis alive everywhere you go.
Man, look, I love Memphis so much. And like I said, it's so funny because I have some friends in D.C., and it's a group of us from Memphis that, when I lived in Baltimore, they live in D.C., and they said, y'all Memphis people, y'all rap hard.
Yeah.
We're like, yeah.
That's what we do.
I mean, I can't tell you how much I love Memphis. And, you know, I haven't lived here for some time, but there is not a time where I don't talk about Memphis. I don't rep Memphis. I mean, it's just when you happy and love something, you talk about it, right?
Yes.
And so I just love the city. The city made me who I am. It gave me the confidence. I am truly prepared for everything that I have faced in life because of where I grew up. From people checking me.
That make you strong,
right.
don't it?
Yo, little foot, big head.
Yes, that's definitely happening in Memphis.
Yeah, so, you know,
Wow.
Joan and me, you know, so, you know, and I talk about Joan and, you know, I'll say stuff like that. And
They be like, what's that?
You know, and then flogging. You know, only a few people.
Flogging,
flogging. Yeah, so I was in the barbershop, and my barber is Hispanic. And he was like, yo, do y'all have the same, you know, food like y'all do here? Like we do here? Like, and I was like, yeah, same food. Food is food. And he was like, no, you have like a lot of Mexican places and stuff like that. I said, the Hispanic population not that big there like that. So we don't. But then there was a dude, like over in the next chair, he was like, yo, when you go home, get some Jack Purtles. And I was like, what?
What do you know about Jack Purtles?
He was like, I used to live in Orange Mound. I was like, what? You know, so.
You my people.
We everywhere. Just so you know, we everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
And you are everywhere. What's the next market? See, I'm trying to get you to tell
Look,
me.
I can say this because I have talked to my boss about this. You know, I just said that, you know, I would love like a dream job would be on the Today Show.
Yes,
I'm not,
I can see
I'm
on
not
the
looking to
Today
replace,
Show.
like, oh, you're going to take, no, it's not like that. It's just like, yo, I want to be on there in some capacity. I don't know how that's going to be and how it will be. I'm putting it out there. I used to wouldn't say stuff like that, but like now I say,
there.
I want, that would be a dream job for me to be on the Today Show. And she said, you know what? I would do whatever I can to help you get there if the opportunity came up for you.
Yes.
So, it's just like, I love my boss, so it's easy to talk to her about that. I'm not trying to leave, but, if the right opportunity comes up, it comes up.
I see you on the Today Show.
Well, look,
yeah.
I hope you all can see it.
And I'm glad that you've had a very blessed career in these good situations.
I just want to say, look, I am proud of you.
Thank you.
The Verbally Effective, I'm truly, like when I say this, I am a fan. I listen to it on the treadmill when I'm I seriously do. Yes. I can tell you about a couple of when your brother was here.
Yes.
When Kanji,
he was good.
I listened to all, and that was a couple of years ago. Like I seriously listened to your podcast. I am so proud of you. When we met, I remember meeting you for the first time on the yard, University of Memphis.
I remember.
You were coming over, and it was like a step show, and I was just like you and Tanya. And
I remember Tanya.
Yes, I remember y'all. I remember y'all over there all the time, and I was like, yo, I like them. And then we would see each other all the time, and you were just always gracious and just nice, and I am so proud of you.
Thank you.
I just want you to know that.
So much, Marcus. I appreciate that. It's good to hear that, especially from another person in the industry, right?
Right.
Like you on the something.
I remember when you were on the radio, Ina Double E on the radio. I remember that.
Yes.
I was so proud of you then because I was like, yo, I know her.
Yes. Well, I am proud of you too, Marcus.
Thank you.
I mean,
Thank
you really put Memphis on the map out here on the west side, in the Bay Area.
Yay, area.
Yes. I want you to let the Verbally Effective audience know all of your social media handles, how they can continue to follow your journey.
Yeah, so look, I'm always on Facebook. You can find me on my work Facebook. It's Marcus Washington, NBC Bay Area. You can find me on Twitter. It's Marcus NBC. And you can find me on Instagram, which is M_Dub_World. It's M_DUBWORLD.
Yes. Emmy Award winning journalist.
Emmy Award winning, yes.
Future Today Show correspondent or anchor. Yes. Thank you, Marcus, so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
I truly enjoyed you. Good to see you while you're in town as well. I hope you enjoy the rest of your visit here.
Thank you so much.
I'm glad you fit me in. Yes. And I want to thank all of you for tuning in yet again to another episode of the Verbally Effective Podcast. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel, Ina Esco. Also, please subscribe to the podcast, Verbally Effective, on all streaming platforms. We got some big announcements coming up in the next couple of weeks. I will keep you guys posted. But until then, I'll see you next week. Thank you for tuning in.